The pen hovered just above the paper, trembling ever so slightly, as the billionaire prepared to sign away millions in a quiet corner of an elegant restaurant. Crystal glasses reflected soft golden light, and a low murmur of expensive conversations filled the air. Everything looked perfect, controlled, inevitable. Then, from beside the table, a voice barely louder than a breath broke through the moment. A waitress, eyes wide and steady, leaned closer and whispered two words that would derail everything he thought he knew. In that instant, power shifted, destiny cracked open, and a truth hidden in plain sight rose to the surface. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the courage to do what's right even when it costs everything, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who believes in integrity, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that still believe character matters. The billionaire's name was Daniel Harper, a Christian man in his mid-50s, widely respected across the United States as a visionary investor with a reputation for bold decisions and flawless instincts. He built his empire from nothing, rising out of a modest upbringing with discipline, prayer, and relentless work. Daniel believed success was stewardship, a responsibility from God to use resources wisely. Yet over time, pressure grew heavier. Investors demanded faster growth. Advisors pushed riskier deals. Daniel trusted numbers more than people now, convinced that logic never lied. That evening, he sat at a private table reviewing documents for what was being described as the most important acquisition of his career. A powerful development firm stood to gain billions, and so would he. The paperwork was thick, dense with legal language, and time was tight. His advisors surrounded him, confident and persuasive, assuring him everything had been reviewed. All that remained was his signature. The waitress assigned to the table was Emily Carter, a quiet woman in her early 30s with a gentle presence and observant eyes. She moved carefully, refilling glasses and clearing plates, tried to remain invisible as she had learned to do over the years. Emily was not new to hardship. Once a promising law student, her life took a sharp turn when her father suffered a stroke during her final year of school. Medical bills crushed her family. She dropped out to work full-time, her dreams folding quietly into survival. What no one in that restaurant knew was that Emily still read legal documents every night. She could not afford to forget what she had learned. It was the only way she stayed connected to who she once believed she could become. While waiting tables paid the bills, her mind never stopped analyzing the world around her. As Emily passed the table again, her eyes drifted to the papers Daniel was reviewing. She did not intend to read them, but one phrase, bold and familiar, caught her attention. Then another. Her heart skipped. She slowed her steps, pretending to adjust a glass, and glanced again. Buried in the contract was a clause she recognized immediately, one she had studied extensively, a clause that transferred liability in a way that could destroy Daniel's company if certain conditions were triggered, conditions that, from her limited view, were almost guaranteed. Emily's pulse raced. She told herself it was not her place. She was just a waitress. Speaking up could cost her job, maybe more. People like Daniel Harper did not welcome interruptions, especially from staff. But something deeper stirred inside her, something rooted in faith and conscience. She thought her father of honesty, of the cost of silence. Before fear could silence her, she leaned in as she placed a glass on the table. Her voice was soft, almost swallowed by the room, but her words were clear. She warned him not to sign. Time seemed to stop. Daniel looked up sharply, confusion flickering into irritation. His advisors stiffened, shocked by the breach of protocol. The room felt suddenly smaller, heavier. Emily met his gaze, her hand shaking slightly, but her expression steady. She did not explain herself fully. She simply repeated the warning, her eyes flicking briefly toward the document. Security could have been called. She could have been dismissed immediately. Every rule of hierarchy had been broken. Daniel felt a surge of ego rise, the instinct to assert control, yet something held him back. Perhaps it was a sincerity in her eyes. Perhaps it was a quiet authority of someone who had nothing to gain. Daniel asked for a moment. Against every expectation, he dismissed his advisors from the table. Murmurs spread across the restaurant. Emily stood frozen, bracing for consequences. Daniel picked up the contract again, slower now. He read the clause more carefully. Then another. Doubt crept in. He pulled out his phone and searched legal interpretations, cross-checking what Emily might have seen. The color drained from his face. The clause was real. Worse, it was cleverly disguised. If signed, it would give the other firm control under conditions that were likely to occur within months. His company would be dismantled quietly, legally, and completely. Years of work would vanish, and thousands of employees would suffer. Daniel sat back, stunned. He looked at Emily again, this time not as staff, but as someone who had just saved everything he built. He asked her how she knew. Emily hesitated, then explained her background, her unfinished education, her habit of reading contracts out of instinct. She apologized for speaking up, expecting anger. What Daniel did next shocked everyone watching from a distance. He stood up. He publicly announced that the deal was off, citing undisclosed concerns. He thanked the restaurant staff for their service and asked to speak with Emily privately. By the next morning, news broke that Daniel Harper had walked away from $1 billion deal hours before signing. Speculation exploded. Analysts were confused. Investors panicked. Then Daniel told the truth. He credited a waitress for saving his company. The story went viral. Some mocked him. Others praised his humility. But Daniel did not care. He knew that moment had been divine intervention. He reviewed every deal since with renewed caution, replacing several advisors who had pushed blindly for profit. Emily's life changed too, but not in the way people expected. Daniel did not offer her money outright. Instead, he offered her dignity. He paid for her to finish law school, no strings attached, and offered her a position in his company's legal ethics division once she graduated. Emily accepted with tears, not because of success, but because someone finally saw her fully. Over time, Daniel and Emily both grew. Daniel returned to his faith with sincerity, remembering that wisdom sometimes arrives in unexpected forms. Emily graduated with honors, her quiet courage becoming her defining strength. She never forgot where she came from, and she never forgot the night she chose truth over fear. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that integrity still matters and that courage can come from the most unexpected places, please like this video, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that inspire and uplift. Before the story ends, leave a comment below sharing what this moment made you feel, or write one word that represents courage to you, because sometimes the smallest voice in the room carries the truth that saves everything.